Hi, friends. On today's episode, I thought I would answer one of my most asked questions, which is what's the difference between an emotional resilience coach and a therapist? I thought, what better way to kick off Mental Health Awareness Month than by answering this question? And in this episode, I share a little bit about my experience with therapy and what I think the main differences are between me and a therapist, and more detail about what it's like to work with me, what you get, how my program is structured, so that you can make an informed choice for yourself if it seems like a good fit for you. If you enjoy this podcast, I would love if you could leave me a review on Spotify and tag me in your stories on Instagram at mighty_emotions and share with anyone that you think might benefit from it. Now let's get into it. Hello and welcome to the Mighty Emotions podcast, where we talk openly about our emotions so that we can have the capacity to receive more of what life has to offer. I'm your host, Giselle. I'm an emotional resilience coach, and my mission is to empower you and equip you with the tools to take control of your life by learning to master your emotions. If you're ready to eliminate negative patterns of avoiding and numbing so you can have inner peace, increase self-esteem, improve your relationships with others, and get more out of life, then keep listening. Welcome back to another episode of the Mighty Emotions podcast. I'm so happy to be coming back with the podcast episodes. I took a little break in April, and March I was recording live podcasts on Instagram. So if you haven't caught the replays of that, definitely check out my Instagram at mighty_emotions. Mighty_emotions. See, I'm like getting back into it. This month that this episode is coming out is Mental Health Awareness Month in North America. And the day that this episode is coming out is actually the beginning of Mental Health Awareness Week here in Canada, where I live. So I thought it would be a great time to answer one of my most asked questions, which is, what's the difference between working with me and going to therapy? I get this question a lot, and I totally understand why. I am talking about similar things, emotional health, mental health. And so naturally, people are curious. And I just want to say right off the bat that it's not an either or. Like, you can go to therapy and work with me or another coach, right? You don't need to choose between therapy or coaching. It's really about where you're at and what you need. And sometimes we don't know what we need. And so we're going to choose what feels right in the moment. And it's really up to me to let you know whether or not I can help you. I'm very, very clear on my boundaries. And so that's one of the first differences, is that I know the limitations of who I can help. And I'll talk a little bit about that as I move along in the episode. But I'm not just general for like all, cases. And therapy isn't general either. There are many different modalities of therapy. There are somatic therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, EMDR, emotions-based therapy. There's several different types of therapy as well. And each therapist is their own human being. And they're going to bring their own unique spin to their practice, right? So really, it's about what you need. So who should work with me over a therapist? The people that I work with usually have already gone to therapy, because I like to work with people who are ready to take action and who are clear on what they're struggling with in order to take that action. We can't take action until we have clarity. So I work with people who are clear that they know their pattern is avoiding and suppressing their emotions. They just don't know how to break that pattern. Or they know their pattern is isolating and their social anxiety, causes them to avoid uncomfortable situations, and they don't know how to rein in their emotions, and their emotions tend to feel overwhelming. And they know this, they have the awareness, but they don't know what to do about it. and they feel overwhelmed by it. And so I teach you how to get from where you're at today with what you're struggling with, how to move through that, and what to do when that shows up, so that you're gaining real skills. Like we're practicing in our sessions, and you have access to contact me in between sessions. So you are not on your own as you're practicing this. I'm there to support you and guide you. I've seen many therapists, but I've never had access to them during our sessions. Right? So that's one difference. Because for me, the integration happens in between the sessions, and sometimes that can be really scary, and I don't want anyone to be on their own when that shows up, and I want them to know they have support and someone to let them know, yeah, that's normal. Yeah, totally makes sense that you're feeling like this. That's expected. Here's what to do, right? And every action or practice that I give my clients, I have used and I use in my life. I'm not just reading a book or learning about it from someone else. It's all very experiential, because I believe that that's where the wisdom is when we experience something, then it really stays with us. And the work that I do with emotions and the subconscious, that's getting to the root of what's driving our behavior and these patterns that we're stuck in. So by addressing the root, my clients are blown away at how fast they see the shifts, and how the shifts don't even look like what they expected. Like they don't even realize until hindsight, like, oh, I just showed up differently in this scenario. And wow. Because we're not focused on the mind only. We're not focused on what happened, the thing. We're focused on the holistic experience. How do you feel about what happened? And this is why this emotion is showing up. And this is what you need to do. This is how you can take care of yourself. And we combine all of that in my signature program, and we move through each core emotion. And I take you step by step through how to process your emotions fully, completely, release it so that you can have space to move forward. How your relationship with shame and guilt affects your relationship with yourself, and how they show up in the world, and how to heal that and move forward. How to get unstuck from sadness, how to get unstuck from fear and not have that dragging you down and keeping you unable to move forward. Everything is about how do we move forward. Anger, we look at anger and how to start setting healthy boundaries, and setting boundaries with ease, where you don't feel guilt, you don't feel fear. It just comes naturally to set these boundaries in the way that I teach it. And I give you practice. I give you homework to actually practice and exercises to actually practice, so that you're not just in your mind, but it's a full holistic experience. And again, I'm not saying that there's a therapy out there that is similar to what I do. I don't know. The therapy that I've done and that my clients have told me they've done isn't like what my work as an emotional resilience coach is. And to me, my qualifications come from the fact that my clients see results, and these results have worked in my life. And so I know that they are helping people, and I know that they're valuable tools, and I want more and more people to have these tools. But I also know that not everyone is in the right place to receive these tools. And that's why there are other coaches, and that's why there's therapy. Because depending on what we are going through, there's a different stage in the process. And therapy might be what you need for where you're at in the process. And maybe working with me and going through this program is what you need, depending on where you're at in the process. It's not an either or. It's not a choose me over a therapist. Absolutely not. Get support. Get whatever support you need for where you're at and what you're struggling with, because you deserve that. We all do. We all deserve that. And I'm really grateful for the therapists that I've had, because I didn't have anyone to give me emotional support other than my therapist at a certain point. But I also healed a lot from joining 12-step programs and being, in recovery circles. And that's just all peer support and mentors. And I've also hired coaches, right? So depending on what I need, where I'm at, that's when I know, okay, I'm going to go to a therapist, or I'm going to get a coach, or I'm going to use my mentor. And I always have pillars of support in place depending on what I need. And so if you're thinking, well, what's the difference between you and a therapist? I just want you to see that it's not something you have to choose between, right? It's a matter of, where are you in your journey? What stage are you at? Are you at the stage where you're not really sure what you're struggling with and you're uncomfortable with your emotions, but you want to focus more on your past? Therapy might be what you need. And if you have looked at your past and you are aware of your patterns, and maybe you've gone to therapy and you've gotten some clarity, but you're still repeating the same behaviors that are driving you crazy, and that you know that you don't want to be behaving this way anymore, but you can't get yourself to get out of that, that's where I can help. That's where my program, my Getting Back to You signature program, and the work that I do can really help. And it has helped people, and it's helped me, right? We combine that experience with the mental side of things, with the subconscious programming techniques, and all of it is bundled together to guide you along your journey and equip you with the tools you need to face life head on, to not be controlled by overwhelming emotions, but to know how to regain control when you've been triggered or emotionally activated, as I like to say, how to regain control so that you can move through life with resilience, right? And that's what I've studied with positive psychology, with psychological first aid, with emotional CPR. All the certifications and trainings I've done and study I've done has been about building my knowledge of how to support you to be more resilient. Because life has ups and downs, and we're not just born with the skills to know how to navigate it. And we do our best with what we have, but sometimes we get stuck in these protective behaviors that we develop in childhood, and we need to learn new ways of being, new ways of behaving. And sometimes it just takes someone coming in and saying, try this instead, do this instead, and see what happens, and trust that. And if we're ready to make those changes, then we'll take those small steps that my clients take, and we'll see the results because of it, right? I love the work that I do, and I know that I'm limited in who I can serve, and I'm grateful that there's therapists, and I'm grateful that there are other coaches, and there are people who are doing other work, because there's so much more people that need support than there are people that are able to support. So if I can take what I've gone through and help someone who's going through it get through it with less suffering, then I have done my work, and I'm honored. I'm grateful. And if I need therapy in the future, I'm going to get it. And if I need a coach for a reason, I'm going to hire them, because this is just about understanding that support is there for a reason, and that it looks different depending on what we're going through, and that is okay. So if you have been on the fence about, working with me, you like what I talk about, but you're not really sure, then message me. Let's get on a call. Let's talk about what you're going through, and I'll be able to let you know whether I can support you or not. If I know what my patterns are, I don't know how to get out of this. I always end up in this negative self-pity spiral, and I don't know how to break it. I've gone to therapy. I've done these things. I know it's from, it comes from this or it comes from that, but I struggle with processing my emotions. I'm just familiar with avoiding them or suppressing, and I don't want to do it anymore, but I don't know how to feel my feelings. If that's you, then send me a message, click the link in the show notes, book a call, and let's talk about how I can support you. Because I'm not here to diagnose you. I'm not here to judge you. I see your emotions as the most logical things in the world, and I'm just here to be the mirror and show you that. And you make the empowered choices. You know yourself. There is an inner healer and an inner wisdom in all of us that we are able to access when we're shown the right steps. And that's what I help you do. I'm just there to facilitate or hold a space and guide and pass on the wisdom that's, been passed on to me through life and experience and other teachers and mentors to help you not have to suffer. So I hope that clears up that question and that you understand kind of what I do more now. And again, if you want to work with me, message me, reach out, let's get on a call and talk. But remember that there's nothing wrong with going to therapy. And there's nothing wrong with going to a coach. And there's not one way to get support. Support looks different, and we need different types of support. And it's better when we have different types of support. Specialized, general, emotional, physical, mental, all of it. Because we're not just a mind, we're not just a body, we're not just a spirit, we're all of it. So with that, I love you for listening, and I really hope that you enjoy the episodes that I have planned for this month. May is a really special month to me because I'm celebrating 7 years of being clean from drugs and alcohol. And I never thought that would be possible. And so again, it's just further proof that with the right support in place, we can achieve amazing, amazing results in our life. But if we want to see results, we have to take steps, we have to take action, and we have to follow the advice and the suggestions of the people that have walked before us, trust in the process, and then before you know it, we're celebrating 7 years clean, or we're celebrating, responding in a way that you never thought you'd be able to, or going into a social situation and not feeling anxiety. Before you know it, we're like, who am I? And we have this freedom and this happiness and this peace because we took the small but mighty action. So I love you for listening. I will see you in the next episode, guys. Bye.